Hi, my name is Sulin from Great British Mag, the digital magazine that covers everything an international student needs to know about living and studying in the UK. I am from Malaysia. I did my 3-year law degree at Queen's University Belfast, so let's get right into it. So today I will be telling you what it's like as an international student at Queen's University Belfast, obviously. So I went to Queen's in 2017 and I finished in 2020, so just like right in the middle of the pandemic. Let's talk location. Queen's is located in Belfast, which is geographically part of Ireland, but politically part of the UK. That's a whole thing in itself. But Northern Ireland is considered part of UK, so Belfast is located in Northern Ireland. Pick up a map to take a look. In terms of transport, it's pretty decent. You can take a bus down to Dublin and fly out of their main airport, or you can fly out of Belfast, which is also pretty okay. I would say the toss-up is about 50% of the time. The tickets might be cheaper flying out from Dublin, including your bus fare, so you can like add a holiday in Dublin as well, and like 50% of the time it's cheaper to fly out of Belfast. So I would say transport out of Belfast is not too bad. Within Belfast itself, we don't really have trains or metros or things like that. Mostly it's just walking or taking the bus. If you're traveling out of Belfast, then yes, there are trains and things like that. But personally, I was never the person that left Belfast. But my whole student life, I spent most of it class, library, house parties, gym, and the Students' Union. So that is where my life mainly revolved around. On my last year of Belfast, we did take a one-day trip and we went to see the castles, went to see the giant causeway, and basically did all the touristy things. It's famous for Game of Thrones, so if that's something you like, then obviously it was really, really beautiful there as well. So let's talk facilities. Queen's, obviously if you've seen any posters, you would have seen the gorgeous castle. So that's the Lanyon building. Honestly, not many classes take place in the Lanyon building. It's mostly for meetings and dinners. Queen's is an open campus, which means that not everything is within that compound. You would find things like the law building, so the School of Law, the new law building in fact. So it was just built like 2 years before I went, or was it a year before I went? So it's relatively new. It's definitely less than 8 years old at this point. It's a mix of modern and traditional. It's just very beautiful. The law building is located behind the Lanyon building, so behind the castle. You also have the School of Maths and Science, so their building is also behind the Lanyon. And then behind those buildings, you'll also find the library, so the Macleay Library, the biggest main library as well. Queen's buildings are scattered around. So you'll find Queen's Film Theatre is next to the Lanyon. That's where the film students study, and also they play movies there. So if you're doing architecture, then it's like down the road. If you're doing something like computer science, that's also probably down the road, but you can find it all on Google Maps. What I'm saying is that you'll probably see more of the people from your faculty than other faculties if you just go to class, because your buildings are located in slightly different areas. But we generally used to meet all our friends or cross when we were walking between buildings, or going to the library, or going to the gym, or going to the Students' Union, and things like that as well. When I left Queen's, the Students' Union building was still under renovation. I am not sure what the current state of it is now. There are other libraries as well, like for example the medical library is located in the medical building, which is like down the other way of the road. Mostly we would go to the Macleay Library, which is the main one behind the Lanyon. Beautiful, it really is. Very modern, very nice. It's 3 floors. I think it's 3 floors. I think it's more than 3 floors maybe. But the staff there were really, really helpful. I remember when I was writing my dissertation, they would help me like get resources from other universities and things like that. So in terms of staff support for the facilities, it was really good. I liked how there were water coolers at every building, every floor, so you could fill up your bottle. There's also cafes in pretty much every building, almost. Obviously, most students still have access to the Students' Union, Macleay, and things like that. But depending on your course, where your building is may give you a slightly different experience as well. So from my understanding, there are certain courses who are in slightly older buildings, so maybe their facilities aren't that great, you know, maybe it's a bit darker or it's just not as fancy, not as comfortable. So I would bear that in mind as well, to just check out the building that you are in. I haven't been to a building that's particularly unpleasant, although I have to admit that the law building was one of the newest ones, so I had a very comfortable experience there. Not everyone may be able to say the exact same thing. The Queen's Gym is located slightly, again, off campus because it's an open campus, so what really is off campus, right? I think among my friends, it was a 50-50 split between those that would go to the Queen's Students' Gym versus those that would go to other private gyms. So let's talk about accommodation. So like most universities, you'll probably have 3 types of accommodations that you can choose from. University provided and run. One is the private student accommodation, so things like IQ City and stuff like that. And of course, private rental. For Queens, there are 3 Queens run accommodations. There's Elms BT9 and Elms BT1 and 2. So for Elms BT9, it's really more of like a village experience. Each building is maybe only 3 floors high at best, but it is like a township, villagey type of feeling because you kind of have this residential gated and guarded section and you walk to your buildings, versus BT1 and BT2, that's really more of a city lifestyle kind of thing because you're right smack in the middle of the city center and you basically stay in this like condo apartments kind of things. I stayed at BT9 when I first got there because BT1 and BT2 were not built at that time. So the benefits of staying at student accommodations are obviously it's simple. Everything is covered for you, you know, you don't have to worry about your electricity or your insurance, any maintenance work is covered. I would recommend student accommodation for first timers if you're just going to the UK, because when you arrive on your first day, it's just so much easier to step into something that's already done and packaged for you. My biggest gripe with Elms BT9, it was a lovely place, don't get me wrong. It was a very nice, cozy village feel. But as a person who would go to every single class, I would go for curricular activities and things like that, I found that the 20-minute walk from BT9 to the university became really tiresome and inconvenient after a few weeks or months, especially, okay, fair warning, UK's default weather is rain. So walking that distance in the rain is not that comfortable. When it's snowing or when it's icy, that's even worse. And there really wasn't that much around BT9. It was a nice township in itself. It's just the location was not pleasant. I have friends who basically stayed within the village a lot during that time and they enjoyed it, but that just wasn't the kind of life that I wanted. So I would recommend that if you are looking at staying at any of Queen's accommodations, then definitely take a look at BT1 and 2, because my biggest gripes with Elms BT9 are basically completely addressed with BT1 and 2. So BT1 and 2 are located in the city center. It's very convenient to get your groceries, to meet up with friends, to go to restaurants. So location is really, really nice in BT1, BT2. BT1, BT2 are also very new. They just got built when I was in university, so it's even newer than the law building. So I would say if you are considering staying with Queen's accommodation, definitely go for BT1, BT2. However, there is a caveat. If you are traveling and you have maybe family with you or you need accommodations that are beyond the typical student room, then you would want to go back to Elms BT9 because it's a village, there's more space. So there are more types of units at BT9, which may be better for, let's say, if you're a parent with a child or you want your family to stay with you or situations like that, then BT9 has a wider range of choices of room types. But if you are just a normal international student, like most of us are, then BT1, BT2 will definitely be a better option for you. Of course, don't forget to consider your private student accommodations. So we have, I think it's called Treehouse, if I'm not mistaken. That's a pretty good one as well. Obviously, private rental accommodations give you the most flexibility and the most choices, but they also involve the highest level of responsibility because you are signing as an individual person, you're paying your own rent, and then you have to call the agent when things go wrong. Now let's talk lifestyle. Because Belfast is kind of not linked to other places unless you like to go to Dublin a lot. If you're a person who likes to travel and explore, you will finish Belfast quite fast. There are a lot of places to, venture and tour around, but truly, if you want to finish it, you could finish it within a week. It is a great place to study, and that's why I really liked it. I was very much into university life. I much preferred house parties because I could crash, and the houses in Belfast are all very nice, generally, that I've seen. 6 major clubs around the city. So if you're a person that clubs a lot, then you might run out of places after a while. If you're a person who travels a lot, then you might run out of places after a while, which means that you have to consider Dublin or fly to the mainland. Most of my circles were people who enjoyed their university life, who enjoyed the curricular activities. So being near the Students' Union, being near the halls, being near the library, these things were more important to us. I don't feel like I missed out on the university life or the university experience in the sense of partying and things like that, because we did go to clubs, don't get me wrong, but I guess I was more of a house party kind of person. We have 2 major malls in our city, so Castle Court and Victoria Square. Victoria Square was a really interesting one because it's not like the traditional typical enclosed mall kind of thing. It's more like an open air mall. You have to see it for yourself and experience it for yourself to understand what I'm talking about. Within the city, you could pretty much get anything you needed, but if you're that kind of person that loves to window shop, or you just love going on shopping sprees, fancy boutiques around, then you'll probably run out pretty fast. It's not London. For me, I had no problem getting everything I needed. Everything I didn't find, I just got online. If you are a person who loves to go on vacation, who loves to explore, adventure, and live a very enjoyable life, you may find that you get bored of Belfast. Our list of excitements is definitely going to be shorter than London. Okay, and lastly, let's talk people. Again, I have been very fortunate. Surprisingly and amazingly, I have not had a single racist experience my entire time in Belfast for over 3 years, and that wasn't me hiding at home in my room or anything like that. I was a very active student. I would join committees and communities, and I was part of a lot of societies and work as well. I also did part-time work at 2 different takeout restaurants, and I have never encountered a single racist experience. And in terms of being a woman, I did feel very safe in Belfast. I think Belfast was rated the top 2nd safest city in the UK when I was there. So sometimes I would finish work at like maybe 1, 2 a.m. in the morning. I would walk home and still feel quite safe. I think naturally when you're walking home at night, you would kind of like keep things to yourself and walk a little bit faster, but it's no different than any other city I've been in. Although I have heard of some racism towards friends of friends. So I'm not going to say that it doesn't exist. It's just that if I was giving my personal testimonial, then it wasn't something I experienced, and it also was not something that my friend groups have experienced. But it would be an over-optimistic thing to say that it doesn't exist. So a few more things that I didn't really know what category to put them in, so I'm just going to put them here. Northern Ireland has very unique banknotes. Northern Irish banks can release their own version of the pound. And those notes are only valid within Northern Ireland. So you can use the normal English pounds in Northern Ireland, no problem. But if you have a lot of Northern Irish pounds and you are going to England, you will need to either change them or don't use cash. Because the markets and the stores in England don't accept Northern Irish pounds. Heat tech from Uniqlo is really great. Get a good pair of waterproof shoes, wireless earbuds, good compact portable umbrella. Windproof is very important because if it's both rainy and windy, then you are screwed. Hand cream, because your hands will crack. If you're staying at a slightly older building, I'm not sure if this is exclusive to Belfast, but like you would have this weird thing where the taps are separate and it's either really cold on one side or really hot on the other, and that's just really difficult to deal with. Especially if you're coming from a tropical country like me, Malaysia, we don't have the best selection of winter clothes. Most students will arrive in September for their intake, and Black Friday is in November. So if you can hold off for 1-2 months, you will get much nicer clothes at a much better value and price. My last tip is probably to contact the university. So either get your agent who probably has links to someone in the university, or contact the University International Student Support directly. The Queen's International Student Support is honestly brilliant and extremely helpful. It would be really great for you if you could have a cab waiting for you and it would be charged to Queen's account. I mean, you won't lose anything. Let them know when you're arriving and things like that. They'll probably be pretty willing to help sort you out in terms of at least getting you from the airport to the accommodation. Me and most of my friends received at least some form of guidance or chauffeur on the time that we arrived. And that's it! I hope you guys liked this video. I hope it helped you. Do subscribe to the channel to get more useful information about studying in the UK and hit that notification bell. Have a great day, everyone. Bye!